Okay, lesson 6 has to do with writing, like translating expressions or equations into one or the other. So, some keywords that we should be aware of that represent addition would be sum. And a lot of these you know already, but you still should probably write them down, obviously. Total. We also have plus. And then we have increased by. We have more than. Where did it go? Having technical difficulties tonight. Okay, so, and you can, if you can think of any more that you know are right, we have the word difference, that a lot of people can never remember that. Differ, did I spell it wrong? Difference. Okay, we have minus. We have decreased by. decreased. And we also have less than. And we have, and we have subtracted. What in the world is that doing here? Well, I'll just write it over here. Subtracted from. Now, we need to talk about those. If you don't remember from last year, you need to maybe star those, because those are the ones that if we say 6 less than 8, then remember it's 8 minus 6. That word than is that keyword to tell you to flip them around. Okay. All right. So words for multiplication. We have obvious times. Another one would be product. The word twice. And you might want to write off to the side, like that means to multiply by 2. We have double or triple, so that, means to multiply by 2 or 3. And the word of also means. So, for example, if we write, I have 2/3 of 8, that really means to multiply. Okay, in division, we have quotient, who most kids can't remember that word. And we have the obvious divided by. If we have the words like half or a third, then that would mean to divide by 2 or 3. If we say, like, we're going to separate our bill, that means to divide. Okay, and then parentheses. So normally when you need to use parentheses, I always like to think of it as when you have 2 different operations. So, for example, if you would have the words times and then the sum of, those are what go in parentheses, where I have those little I can't even think, quotation marks. Don't tell Mrs. Pearson that. And then if it says times times the difference of, again, that is where you would put the parentheses. So, and then we already talked about this. Those turnaround phrases are the words less than or subtracted from. Okay, so we want you to practice translating each expression here. I will do a few with you. So the product of a number and 3. So even though the number comes first, we know that we're always going to put the coefficient first. And you can use whatever letter you want. The difference between a number and 10. So the word number comes first. So because it's subtraction, you have to have that go first. Okay, the quotient of a number and -5. So we're not going to use the dividing sign. We're going to use the fraction bar to get us ready for algebra. And I will not let you use that. This thing is a no-no. 4 subtracted from a number. Ooh, subtracted from. You might want to circle that. So it's 4 subtracted from a number. Okay, we have the sum of twice a number and 7. So this one you might think you need parentheses because there's 2 different operations. But if you break it down, we have the sum of, and then there's 2 things, twice a number and 7. So if you put your plus sign, the first thing is twice a number, and then the second thing is the 7. The product of a number 10, the product of a number and 10, so increased by 1. Okay, so go ahead and flip her over. And you try those 2 and pause it, of course, and then see if you got what I got. Okay, so go ahead and check those out. If you have questions, make sure you ask. Okay, now the next ones are really just equations. So the sum of twice the number and 10 is 36. We're not going to solve them right now. It just adds in an equation. Okay, here would be an example. We got 3 times the difference of. So that's where we need those parentheses. So we have 3 times, and then it's going to be the whole thing. The difference of a number and 7 is 18. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to have you do 11 and 12, and then I'm going to go down to number 13 here. So we have 1/2 of a number is 8 less than the number itself. So 1/2 a number you can show 2 ways. I think of it as this, 1/2 a number. But you can also think of it as this. Either way works. Okay, and then you have is 8 less than, so you have that keyword than, so 8 less than the number. So you can choose either one of these, and that goes on that side. So I am going to go ahead and pause it and have you do them. All right, so go ahead and look at the ones. Pause it if you need to so you have more time to look at it. On number 11, that is an 8. I couldn't get that written very well. I don't think there's any wiggle room on making these be rearranged any other way. Okay, so down to inequalities. So the only difference on these is the inequality. Otherwise, well, these are all individual, but when they get more like, 4 less than the product of, they're written the same way. It's just these words. So we know that less than is there because we would be talking about like the number in front. We read it from left to right. So remember, read left to right. You might want to write that. Read left to right for the inequality. So we would say whatever number's over here is less than or equal to, greater than, because whatever number's over here would be bigger than because we're eating it, and then greater than or equal to. So you should be able to go ahead and do the first two. But we need to think about what at most is. Speed limit, think about that. At least, no less than, no more than, maximum, and minimum. So I want you to go ahead and think about those and try them. Think about last year what those words meant. And remember, you're going to put the letter first. So like if I do number 20, a number, we're going to go left to right. So we're talking about that X. A number is at most 45. So could it be more than 45? No. So the X is not more than 4 because the 45 is going to be over here. But could it be 45? Yes. So we're talking about the X value. That is at most 45. So you go ahead and do those. Okay, so go ahead and look at my answers. Easiest way to do is to pause it so they stay there so you can look at it. And that is all for lesson 6.